Throughout my almost 2 years of calisthenics training, I've bought me some calisthenics equipment, as you guys can see. And I use some of the calisthenics equipment in literally every calisthenics session I have, but others were just a waste of money. So guys, in today's video I would like to introduce to you the calisthenics equipment that literally every calisthenics athlete should have and which is also worth your money. Starting off with resistance bands. Now guys, resistance bands are good for two things. The first thing would be your warm-up and the second thing would be your training. For your warm-up you could use the resistance band and do, for example, band pull-aparts, overhead band pull-aparts or external rotations. And for your actual training you could do band-assisted planche holds, or you could use the resistance bands to have resistance while doing push-ups, for example. Resistance bands are also crucial for progressing into skills. Additionally to that, they are actually very cheap. The cost range is between 5 to 15 euro. I would recommend you to buy resistance bands from Decathlon. Buy the lightest one for your warm-ups and 2 to 3 ones with more resistance for your actual training. And guys, what is also important to say is that resistance bands substitute weights such as weighted plates. So instead of carrying a ton of weights with you, just use resistance bands instead. And now let's continue with the second calisthenics gear I would like to introduce to you, namely wrist sleeves. Now, wrist sleeves are without a doubt one of the most important calisthenics gear one can purchase. A lot of calisthenics exercises such as the handstand push-ups or planche hold put a lot of force on your wrists. And to prevent any injuries that might happen on your wrist, I would recommend you to use wrist sleeves in every calisthenics session you have. Now guys, if we look over here, one can notice, other variations of wrist sleeves. They look like the following, as you guys can see. So this would be like the first variation of wrist sleeves. And this, the second variation, they look like this. This is a wrist sleeve from the company which is named Gornation, a German company to be more specific. And those would be the third variation of wrist sleeves. But guys, I actually wouldn't recommend you to buy any wrist sleeves who look like this or like this, because those wrist sleeves aren't actually, those wrist sleeves aren't actually very stable, and this wrist sleeve variation is just too big. They just need so much space and you can't move your hands freely. Therefore guys, I would only recommend you to buy a wrist sleeve that look like this. And a little fun fact guys, Goku uses wrist sleeves as well, as you guys can see. Moving on to the next calisthenics gear I would like to introduce to you, namely liquid chalk. This is how it looks like. The cost range is between 10 to 15 euros for 250 ml. And liquid chalk basically helps you to get a better grip. Think about it. You're at the calisthenics park or at the gym and you're trying to hold the handstand, right? But you have very sweaty hands. Then it's actually nearly impossible for you that you are able to hold the handstand. And to solve this problem, you should use liquid chalk. You could also use chalk powder, but I'm actually not the biggest fan of chalk powder. I'm more a fan of liquid chalk because in my opinion, chalk powder doesn't stick very well on your hands. Now the next calisthenics equipment that you should have as a calisthenics athlete are Parallettes. Parallettes are without a doubt my all-time favorite calisthenics equipment. I just love working out with them. And the logic behind Parallettes is actually pretty simple. They help you during your workouts, right? They're like this, this friend, this invincible friend who helps you, for example, to hold the planche or who helps you with your handstand push-ups. But guys, jokes aside, just as wrist sleeves, Parallettes also help you to prevent any injuries that might happen on your wrists. They are very wrist friendly, and you can use Parallettes for, supinated exercises, neutral grip exercises, or pronated exercises. You can use Parallettes for skills training or hypertrophy training. And guys, actually a funny fact, I am able to hold the straddle planche with Parallettes, but I'm still not able to hold the straddle planche without Parallettes. So this is actually pretty funny. But as with the wrist sleeves, one can see 3 different variations of Parallettes as well. With this being the first variation, right? Those the second variation. Those Parallettes the third variation. Now guys, to be specific, those Parallettes are actually from Calisthenics. They're called Low-Fit Pro and they cost about 100 euros. And those Parallettes are from Decathlon. They're plastic Parallettes, which cost about, I think 6 euros or 7 euros. And guys, the last Parallettes being the Parallettes from the German company Pull Up and Dips, which costs 50 euros. And guys, I've used all 3 different variations of Parallettes in the past, and I can clearly say that my favorite Parallettes are the Parallettes from Calisthenics. And no, not because they cost 100 euros and are the most expensive ones. But guys, when it comes to buying Parallettes, you want 3 things. The first thing would be stability. The second thing would be that you don't want the grip of the Parallette to be too thin. And the third thing being that the surface of the Parallette shouldn't be too slippery. But unfortunately though, when it comes to the Parallettes from Decathlon, one can clearly say that the Parallettes are way too small. Literally, they are nothing and they aren't very stable, and like the grip is also too thin. Like, look at this. I can wrap my hand completely around the grip. So I wouldn't recommend you to buy the Parallettes from Decathlon, and I wouldn't recommend you to buy the Parallettes from Pull Up and Dip either, because they actually aren't very stable and I'm not the biggest fan of the grip. So guys, the Low-Fit Pro Parallettes from Calisthenics are clearly the winner. I know that they're very pricey, they cost 100 euros as I already mentioned, but I would even say that those Parallettes are the best Parallettes on the market right now, like the best Parallettes you could purchase. I've also tested like the premium Parallettes from Gonation. They're good as well, but in my opinion, those Parallettes are better than the Parallettes from Gonation. And guys, another thing would be the surface of the grip. Like the surface of the grip is kind of rough. It's not very, even, but this is actually the #1 thing that stands out for me with these Parallettes. Like, you just have to feel it yourself, man. Like, the stability of your grip with this surface will be outstanding. I tell you that. Now guys, when it comes to dip bars as well as pull-up bars, I would say that they aren't worth your money. I know I've bought me some dip bars as well as some freestanding pull-up bars, but let's be honest guys, I hardly use them. I would say though that I would recommend you to buy yourself dip bars or pull-up bars if you're only able to train at home, and I mean at home only. But otherwise, like, you could go to your calisthenics park or to your local gym and use their pull-up bars or their dip bars. And actually the same goes with elbow sleeves. Like, there's no human on the planet who needs elbow sleeves. Now guys, one honorable mention would be gripper. To be more specific, grip strengthener for your forearms. I mean, it's always good to have strength in your forearms, right? And guys, the link of the products that I would recommend to you can be found in the description of this video. By the way, if you have any questions about calisthenics gear or calisthenics in general, please let me know it in the comments down below. If you have enjoyed today's video, please leave a like and a comment. You can check out my Instagram as well. My name is Phoenix_official. But I would say I see you in the next video. Peace.